There's new information available for Madden NFL 17. We talk about ball physics, special teams, and more. We're going to break this down into 2 parts. Let's go to part 1. What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, and on Thursday evening, as a matter of fact, EA Sports dropped their next section or deep dive or dev diary, however you want to describe it, on the upcoming Madden 17. There's 3 key things that the new dev diaries discuss. There's ball physics, which has something to do with pretty much every aspect of it. There's also special teams, the enhancements there, and then there's also zone coverages on defense. I'm going to split this, as I said in the intro, into 2 parts. We're going to talk about the special teams, and then we're going to talk about the ball physics in this video, and then in a second video I'll break down the zone coverages, which is deep in its own right. And I went through the entire article. These moderately lengthy, and I picked out the key components, and I'm going to go over those and kind of give my take on them as well. So some of this is going to be direct quotes from the dev diary, and I've included the link to both of these articles in the description. So it starts off, it says, well, kicks were too easy and blocks were almost impossible without exploits. I totally agree with that. We felt pretty strongly that this was not representative of what we are seeing in the NFL. Our goals in this area were to add strategy, risk, and reward elements, and the potential for game-deciding plays and special teams. That is an excellent concept. First and foremost, I like the fact that you block kicks through formation setup, not through an exploit. That's great. I also like that there's new trick plays as well in special teams. The kicks were, I thought, a little too easy. I always felt like it always just came down to, can your kicker literally make the kick with his leg strength? If he can make it with his leg strength, there's pretty much almost no way you're going to miss it unless your hand slips off the controller or something crazy. So it shouldn't probably be that way. And obviously, we all know you can't block a kick. Very difficult to block a kick in any Madden game unless you do something weird like line guys up behind the line, behind one defensive lineman, just goofy stuff, right? So let's see, how are they saying that they're going to address both of those things? Going back to direct quotes. It says, we also felt the kicker ratings needed to have a much bigger impact in the game. After reviewing other sports titles, I really like that, we quickly adopted a 3-button approach, very similar to what you see in a golf or baseball game. Now, what I like about that is, I love the fact that they're being upfront saying, yeah, we looked at some other games, that use a meter type of system for certain aspects of their game, and we said, hey, that's what we need to be doing, or that's what we need to go back to. You don't very much hear a gaming company admit that they used or were influenced by another game, especially another game that's not even made under their umbrella. There's no baseball game for EA right now. Okay, so they're clearly talking about the show. So that I thought that was refreshing to be upfront and say that, and I do think the 3-click kick meter is better. So let's talk about as far as the punting. They says Madden 17 they're going to have sky punts and backspin options for situational strategies in the kicking game. Add as many layers as possible to each aspect of the game. You make it far more about skill at that point, and people, you want it to have some level of pick up and play, but also at the same time you want to reward the people who are going to put in the work to become really good at different aspects of the game. Back to the quotes. It says, as part of our special teams theme, we knew blocked kicks were a must-have. Achieving realistic organic behavior of the ball after block was a big part of the plan. Ball physics ensures the behavior of the ball after a block is not animated or scripted. It is organic and unpredictable. With the organic nature of ball physics, onside kicks make a big comeback in Madden 17. We restored the ability to aim your onside kicks to give users a little more control over placement. The unpredictability introduced by ball physics makes onside kicks another thrilling aspect of special teams in Madden 17. I love that concept. Obviously, all of this stuff is conceptual. We have to see how it actually works out, and I continue to give that disclaimer in pretty much all of these videos as we break down these features. Obviously, these features are only going to tell us the upside. If there is a downside, we won't know until we get our hands on them. You know, we can speculate about what they could be or whatever. But block kicks, having the ball bounce organically is, I mean, you really couldn't ask for much more than that conceptually. Like even like with onside kicks, which they do actually talk about. Do you ever get the feeling that with an onside kick, like it was almost kind of predetermined who was going to get the ball? So apparently that's not going to be the case anymore. It's going to have some level of unpredictability, and that's exactly where it should be. So we'll see. So now, staying with the ball physics theme, we're going back to the quotes, and we're talking about receivers and the aggressive catch. It says, we now restrict those extremely athletic, high degree of difficulty catches to the more elite ball in air receivers only. Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones, Antonio Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins, and Dez Bryant are the type of players who will have the ability to do those spectacular catches consistently, while a running back or slot receiver will trigger a catch that is more reflective of his catching ability. Thank you. Thank you very much. I got so tired of seeing just about every receiver in the NFL in the game being able to make an aggressive catch down the field. It was just silly, really. And the aggressive catch was a cute little thing, but I put in my Madden wish list that this needed to be toned down a bit, so I'm glad other people apparently felt the same way. Going back to the quotes, it says another piece of feedback from the community was that there was never any injury chance on receivers who exposed their bodies and took consistent hits while performing aggressive catches. Injury chances have been increased in these situations for Madden NFL 17, so repeatedly targeting your big threat wide receiver on jump balls in traffic now comes with significant risk of injury to that player. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but hopefully it's not crazy to the point where every time you jump up in the air and try to make a catch, your guy's getting injured, even if it's a guy who doesn't have like an injury history. So some guys have had some, like Dez Bryant said, has had an injury. I won't say injury riddled history, but definitely it's been an issue. So I don't want to see it like every time he jumps, it's a problem. But I can't, risk reward is good in video games. It teaches you how to kind of curtail some things, and so I'm not totally opposed to that. I'm interested in see how it works out. Back to the quotes, it says, finally, we want to once again reiterate there is a user bonus for clicking on and using the defensive mechanics. Win chances on catch outcomes are given a significant bonus for users who click on to defenders and use the defensive ball and air mechanics, with each mechanic bringing its own risk and reward. Now, this is very important because I'm going to talk about some of the things that they're saying now you're able to do as a defender in the passing game. Trying to go user, and I'm not just talking about user pick, I'm talking about user defense, should give you some sort of love, because there's people who just say, hey, you know what, the CPU controlled DB does a really good job, I'm just gonna let him do it. If you're good enough, and I think you should have that option, but if you are good enough to take control of your guy, even as the receiver or as the defensive back or defender in the pass and play, I do think there should be some love given to that. On the quote side, it says, we spent a lot of time discussing this specific issue with the community and decided that the right way to attack the problem was not to nerf the aggressive catch, but rather build an effective counter mechanic on defense. Thus, the new SWAT mechanic was born for Madden 17. Defenders now have three options when the ball is in the air: play the ball, play receiver, or SWAT. If you're willing to give up the chance for an interception in order to stop the shot play, the SWAT mechanic is for you. It has been custom designed as the counter to the aggressive catch on defense. That's cool. Think about it. Ball goes up in the air. You got your defender there, and the guy goes up to try to make the catch. And as soon as he goes up to try to make the catch, the ball comes through. You can bring your defender's hand straight through the area, swatting down at the ball or at the arms to break the ball loose or slap the ball away from the receiver. Logical. Now, I'm worried a little bit though. I'm worried that this could be used as an exploit and won't be properly tuned. Or if it is properly tuned, will it take 1 to 2 title updates before it gets to the place where we really want it to be? We will see. But conceptually, which is another word you'll hear me keep throwing out, still a good idea. Now, it says with Madden 17, the ball has been fully integrated into our Ignite physics engine, and the results are game changing. This feature will have a significant impact on several major systems throughout the game, and they offer a breakdown of the areas where the game is going to be impacted by ball physics. Love the idea of ball physics. Should have really been in you. It's really difficult to make a football game that's going to play realistic in general without having physics as a primary initiative throughout every part of the game. Football is a collision sport. Physics have to be in there in a major way. So they say with the ball physics, if a defender collides with the ball during the catch animation, the ball has a chance to be organically knocked out. Never has that been in. This also applies to hands and limbs. Also never been in. If they get an arm between the ball and the receiver, the wide receiver will no longer be able to pull the ball through the defender. We've seen that. Balls going through people's heads, through guys' shoulder blades and all of that. This claim says that won't happen. Do you realize if this is the case, this is really taking a really big step towards eliminating clipping to a degree? And I'm not talking about clipping, blocking people in the legs from the back. I'm talking about sports video game people who know that term, know what we mean. That's when you see bodies colliding and sliding through other guys' bodies and balls going through other guys' bodies and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. This doesn't say that it eliminates that, but I definitely see it as a step in that direction if it functions as it sounds. Another quote says, in those cases where a ball is tipped, swatted, or broken up, the path the ball takes is purely momentum and physics based. Players can react to it in real time and will attempt to catch it off the tip. As a result of this, we have tuned catch chances and tip ball catch chances accordingly. Dropped interceptions are much rarer this year, and passes that get broken up, swatted, or tipped have the potential to be caught off the tip. We have added several diving, sliding, and below the knees type catches to cover these scenarios. I have so long wanted for defensive players to have better hands in Madden. And I do know that sometimes you really need that dropped interception if you're going to have a chance to win. But sometimes balls are hitting guys dead off in the hands, man. And these are professional football players. These guys are not going to drop some of the stuff that gets dropped. So I love that. I love the tip drill situations. Those are nice. As long as it doesn't get out of hand. I remember there was a football game back in the day, man, way back in the day, NFL Game Day. The tips were so out of control in NFL Game Day. It was crazy. I think it was for PlayStation 2. Actually, I need to grab that for a Throwback Thursday. That would be sick. But, yeah, that was crazy. So, hopefully it's not like that, but those new animations for the catches are great. Now, the quote says, this includes a set of new animations for loose ball recoveries that cover both in-air and on-ground scenarios. Players are smarter, react to loose balls faster, and have tons of new animations dedicated to loose ball recoveries. Yeah, we've all seen some fumbles, especially after a quarterback is sacked, and you see 37 defensive players act like they just can't pick the ball up, diving all around it, and you see one offensive lineman run and just scoop it up just as clean. You're like, come on. That felt predetermined. That felt like they weren't supposed to lose the ball right now. So hopefully that's gone. Speaking of that situation, another quote says, throw out of sack is how Madden has previously handled situations where a defender triggered a sack animation on a quarterback who already started his throwing motion. In these cases, the ball would often appear to simply fall out of his hand as the sack animation triggered. With ball physics, we now have organic outcomes in these situations. They can result in fumbles and strip sacks. If the quarterback's arm is going forward when he is hit, you are also going to see that outcome play out organically. This all plays a big role in fumble versus incomplete pass. It's now more important than ever to get the ball out quickly under pressure. That sounds really great, but I'm a little bit worried because I hope that the gameplay is tuned to the point where we don't have a bunch of plays where it looks like the quarterback is supposed to, this should have been a forward pass that ends up as an incomplete pass, or some plays that were called fumbles where the guy's arm is clearly going forward. I hope that tuner is tight. If it's tight and it is what they say, that's going to be, I mean, some of these things sound small, but from a gameplay standpoint, if they are what they are, it could be really sick. Okay, so we will absolutely see. I'm going to actually go through the zone coverage dev diary or deep dive in a separate video, because if I went in this one, it would be super long. But I want to hear in the comments, what do you guys think? Are you guys optimistic about what this is? I know a lot of people just pre-programmed to say they hate Madden from the beginning, but listening to each of these details, how many people are optimistic? How many people are like, whatever? How many people are just like totally against it? Just, that's it. You're just not going to change your mind no matter what. So I do appreciate you watching. God bless.